For decades, this building stood silent, a massive forgotten warehouse where time slowly settled like dust in the air. Sunlight pushed through broken windows, thin beams cutting across the darkness. Inside, machines had been abandoned, crates left untouched, and history quietly faded into shadows. But hidden deep inside the warehouse, something extraordinary waited. Beneath a thick layer of dust, under a tarp no one had touched for years, was a legend. A forgotten Lamborghini Countach, one of the most iconic supercars ever built. In its time, the Countach was more than just a car. It was a revolution. Sharp angles, impossible speed, and the unmistakable scissor doors that defined an entire generation of supercars. But somehow, this one had disappeared, locked away inside a warehouse and left untouched for nearly 40 years. When the restoration team entered the building, they weren't expecting to find history. They walked past broken crates, rusted machinery, and long rows of forgotten equipment. Then something caught their attention. In the far corner of the warehouse, a strange shape beneath a heavy tarp, covered in dust, silent, almost invisible in the darkness. Curious, they moved closer. As the tarp was pulled back, a cloud of dust filled the air, and slowly, the sharp wedge shape began to appear. Angular fenders, low profile, the unmistakable silhouette. A Countach. The once brilliant paint had faded beneath decades of neglect. The tires were cracked and flat. Dust covered every inch of the body, but beneath all of it, the legend was still there. The scissor door lifted slowly for the first time in decades. Inside, the cabin was frozen in time. Cracked leather seats, dust-covered gauges, a steering wheel that had once controlled one of the fastest cars in the world. Then came the engine inspection. At the rear of the car sat the heart of the Countach, a powerful V12 engine. But after decades of silence, it was clear this machine would need more than a simple cleaning. So the restoration began. The car was carefully removed from the warehouse and transported to the workshop. Years of dust were washed away. Slowly, the original beauty of the Countach began to return. But the real transformation happened inside the workshop. The V12 engine was removed and rebuilt piece by piece. The interior was stripped and restored, every worn component replaced, every detail brought back to life. Meanwhile, the body panels were repaired, rust removed, imperfections corrected. Then finally, the moment every restoration leads to, the paint booth. Under bright lights, the Countach received its new finish, a flawless deep red that reflected every sharp line of its legendary design. Piece by piece, the forgotten supercar returned, until finally, the moment arrived, the engine start. For a second, there was only silence. Then, the V12 roared to life, a sound that hadn't echoed through that machine for 40 years. The Countach slowly rolled forward into the sunlight, no longer buried in darkness, no longer forgotten, because legends don't disappear forever. Sometimes, they're simply waiting to be discovered again.